Good morning, this is Camille from Camille's Doll Spa, and I am here today to show you how to do an eye swap on an American Girl doll. This is my helpful videographer, Michaela. And this is my other helpful videographer, Amelia. First, we need to boil a kettle of water. Here are some of the supplies we're going to use. I have made a homemade tool out of a dowel rod where I have sanded the end and covered the other end with wads of towels and cloth to protect myself, and you'll see how I do that in a little bit. Here we have a seam ripper, needle nose tweezers, scissors, this is to get the zip tie opened up on the doll's neck, and a pair of brand new eyes. And here we have a wooden spoon and a small bowl. Here's the boy that we're going to do the eye swap on. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do while the pot of water is getting ready to boil is we're going to take out this little seam. There's a couple of little stitches here, and I'm just going to remove them with my seam ripper, and then that will expose the zip tie. Next, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to carefully, without cutting the actual fabric, I'm going to find that zip tie with my scissors. There it is. And I snapped it already. Real easy to do. Then I can leave the zip tie in because I'm going to replace it later. What I really want to do right now is take this head off. That's all I need to do. Wiggle it out. Put the doll body aside. The head is what we really need. Next, I put the doll's head upside down into a Pyrex bowl that's lined with a dish towel. Looks like my kettle is ready for me to turn it off and use the water. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is pour the hot, just boiled water into the doll's head. I'm going to pour it carefully so that it doesn't splash out onto the wig. What do you do if you have a doll with pierced ears? You cover the holes with tape, or if you have the earrings, leave the earrings in so the holes don't get deformed. Okay, now we're going to set the timer for exactly 2 minutes. 2 minutes is very important. If you go too long, you'll melt the eyes. And if you go too short, the vinyl will not be soft enough for you to get the eyes out. Okay, the timer is going off, so now I'm going to bring my doll head with the hot water over to the sink and dump it out carefully and sideways so I don't get any on the hair. Now we're going to bring it back real fast to the counter, and this is where my stick comes in. I shove it inside the doll, and while I'm bracing myself, I find the middle spot on that eye and push till I get it out.
You having trouble, Mom?
Sometimes we have a little trouble, but it always works out. You can always take a deep breath and start over if it doesn't work. But it's important to get that centered so that you can push evenly. Okay, now we have the eyes out. You got about 10 seconds to do that job before the vinyl starts cooling. So you got to be fast. Now I've got to tell you what happens when the back deforms. If this gets pushed in a little bit, the eye will not open and shut the way it's supposed to. So if that does happen, what you need to do is separate this back piece. Put it in the smaller Pyrex bowl, and we're going to add just a little bit of hot water. And you only need a few seconds for this to work. We're going to soften that plastic up. And then I'm going to pull it out with my tweezers after a few seconds and use the back of my wooden spoon to push and make sure that that back part is not deformed. That's all you have to do to correct that. Okay, that's our 2-minute timer for us to go dump this water out. So let's head to the sink. We'll dump it out carefully without getting the doll's hair wet. Shake it out real good so you don't burn yourself. And come back real quickly to where the eyes are. We're going to put them in a little bit sideways like this because it protects the lashes. use my fingers because my fingers can really feel, they can see. I'm going to use my tweezers to just adjust it, just so that the metal parts aren't sticking out, because I can go back and fine adjust it in a second. Time is of the essence here, guys. Really important to get this done fast. You don't want the lashes to be stuck or the metal parts sticking out. Okay, done. So now, that was under 10 seconds, right? All right, I think we're getting pretty good at this. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is go in with the tweezers without scratching the sides of the eyes. You do it with the eyes open. It's better if you do it with the eyes open, because if you do it with the eyes shut, you run the risk of scratching the eyelid. So I'm just going to go back and forth, just a little bit on each side until I got my eyes centered so that they have a nice gaze, that you can really see them focused on you. And when the eyelid's shut, they're even. The eyes we're using today are by Doll of a Kind. There are also several other brands of doll eyes available. I do like the original American Girl eyes, and there are several others that are compatible with American Girl dolls. Okay, so his eyes are in. Next, we need to let the head cool. I generally like to let the head cool upside down because it prevents any deformation of the eye sockets while it's cooling. It's a good idea to let the doll's head cool for 24 hours before you put the head back onto the body, both to allow it to cool and for the plastic to harden, and also so that all of the moisture gets out of the inside of the doll's head. Okay, so a couple of tips for those of you that are first-time eye swappers. You really only have about 10 to 15 seconds to get those eyes out after you dump the hot water, and about 10 to 15 seconds to get the eyes back in after you dump the hot water. That's why I recommend using that thick 1-inch dowel rod tool that I made for myself with a towel wrapped around the other end of it, so that you don't hurt your leg when you're pushing against that dowel rod to get the eyes out. So the other thing that you can do is take the eyes out one at a time. So what I mean by that is do 2 minutes with the hot water, dump, only take out one eye, do 2 minutes with hot water again, dump again, do the other eye, and then when you're going to put them in, sort of repeat the same process. You may find that your kettle is cooling down. That is a problem that people have. It's not effective in getting the vinyl warm enough. So you want to make sure that you're working with a very hot kettle of water that's just been boiled. I hope that helps you guys. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer them. And if you just can't figure it out, just send your doll to me and I'll do it for you. Thanks, guys.